The voice of him that cried in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for every valley shall be exalted, shall be exalted. The crooked straight and the rough places bare. The crooked straight, the crooked straight, the rough places bare. And the Lord makes his play, and the Lord makes his play. Hello and good morning. Welcome to Kingdom Evangelism Online. Today we'll be looking at the topic Watch and Pray. Taken from St. Matthew chapter 26. Brace yourself, this is going to be prophetic and timely. St. Matthew chapter 26. Now Jesus, let's set the scene of what actually happened during this particular time. Let's look at the context, and from that context we will extrapolate a pretext. Here we go. St. Matthew chapter 26. Painting the background. Jesus was with his disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane, and while he was there, he was about to pray. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace. We thank you that you are Lord. You are exalted. You are the supreme being. You are the only living God. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are God. No, you are not Allah. You are God. You are the esteemed one. You are not Muhammad. You are Jesus, the only crucified one, the only one that gave his life for the world. And you rose on the third day. His name is Jesus, Yeshua, the crucified one. We exalt you today. We bind every prince and power of the air operating in this territory, in this region. We lift up the name of Jesus. We proclaim, may your kingdom come and may your will be done. We cry unto you, Abba Father. Let all the earth hear your voice and let your name be praised. In St. Matthew chapter 26, the text which is prescribed for today, we paint a pretext in verse 36. Jesus was with his disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane. And as he was with his disciples, he recognized that his time of crucifixion is at hand. He says to his disciples, sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Jesus sensed what was coming. He was sorrowful. Then he said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Effective prayer can only be done when we have learned to watch. There's a lot of teaching, a lot of sermons about prayer, but very few about watching and praying. Now, the word prayer is actually a legal institution in the sense that it talks about petition. It talks about when we pray according to his will, and he will grant us his petition. The Greek word in prayer suggests something very interesting. The word in Greek is vow. So the word prayer actually means vow. So when you make a vow, it's actually a form of prayer. So the Bible says, and Hannah made a vow. You might recall that Hannah made a vow. She said, speaking of Samuel, the word Samuel means asked of the Lord. So Samuel was going to be offered as a sacrifice. So Hannah made a vow when she was praying. So it's almost difficult to separate a vow from a prayer, because prayer is something sacrificial. A vow is something sacrificial. So when you are praying, you are making a declaration of something that you want to do. So it's a vow. Stay here with me while I go and pray. Watch with me for Going a little further, verse 39, he fell on his face to the ground and he prayed, My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. So prayer involves not just your will and my will. Prayer involves his will. The reason why I think most of our prayers are not answered is because it's too much focus on our will. Effective prayer is focused on his will. And in order for us to pray effectively, it must involve two things. It must involve his will, and it must involve a vow, a sacrificial commitment for something to happen. In other words, there has to be something in the prayer that is kingdom related. Something involved in the prayer that must have a kingdom focus. In other words, prayer is not only about you, it's also about him. Prayer is twofold. Prayer involves a vow. Prayer involves an altar, raising an altar unto the Lord. And an altar is a place of sacrifice. Effective prayer must have a context that when the prayer is fulfilled, I will offer something unto the Lord. So here even Jesus is struggling with his own will. If it is your will, take this cup from me. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Could you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So your will has to be sacrificed in order for his will to be done. Your flesh has to be crucified in order for prayer to be effective. Prayer, therefore, involves a discipline. It involves a commitment. It involves a condition of your heart and a condition of your volition. When he came back, he found them sleeping. Now, here is Jesus at the most crucial part of his ministry, at the most painful part of his ministry. His disciples is sleeping. Have you ever want to pray with someone and they haven't understood your burden? You see, prayer involves a burden, and most people, you cannot pray. In fact, never pray with someone that doesn't understand your burden. Because a real prayer partner is someone that can understand your pain, someone that can understand your pain. Most churches I've been to, they've never understood my burden, they never understood my vision. So I can't see with them. I've lost pastors friends because I can't stick with them. I can't see with them. They can't see or experience my pain. I've ever been in a relationship where they just cannot understand your pain. Real friendships mean that you understand my pain, you understand my vision, you understand where I'm going. You cannot be my friend unless you understand my pain. So Jesus came back and saw his disciples sleeping. I submit to you that the church is still sleeping. There are pastors that are sleeping. Their churches are sleeping. Their members are sleeping. The elders are sleeping. The church at this hour is still asleep. Zion, wake up. It's time for Zion to wake up. Zion, 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 Zion. It's time for Zion to wake up. Zion is asleep. He went away a second time. And he prayed, my Father, if it is not possible, take this cup away. Unless I drink it, may your will be done. So Jesus went away and prayed a second time. When he came back, he again found them sleeping. Oh, what a painful sight. I speak prophetically to you that the church is still sleeping. Our evangelism is sleeping. Most of our churches, their finances are not committed to evangelism. How many churches have a long-term evangelistic strategy? A strategy to reach the lost. A strategy to reach the world. But we are sleeping. Our financial resources are sleeping. Our finances are committed to many other things. We spend more money on the preacher that's going to visit us for 3 days than spend more money on trying to reach the world. For God so loved the world. I'm not convinced that the church loves souls. I'm not convinced that the church loves souls. But Jesus loved the world that he gave his son. So now God is about to give his son to the world. And the disciples are sleeping. The disciples have not yet had a revelation of what is about to happen. The disciples have not yet understood that at this epic moment, Jesus is about to offer his life. God is about to offer his son to the world. And he comes back a second time, and they are still sleeping. And the church today is still sleeping. I look at the programs of the church and I know that they are sleeping. I look at the vision of the church and they are still sleeping. Look at the balance sheet of our churches, the financial statements of our churches, and you have a revelation that we are still sleeping. The world is falling into chaos. The wars of this world are indicative of the signs of the time. And we are still sleeping. In St. Luke chapter 18, there is a very dismal picture. It says, when the Son of Man comes, will he still find faith? Because it takes faith to pray. When God comes, will he still find you? Will he still find you believing? I wonder what would have happened to the burden of Jesus if his disciples had learnt to pray with him. He would have been strengthened. His heart would have been more conducive to face the challenge that was ahead of him. That's what prayer partnership does. It makes someone understand your pain. It makes you go through. The battle might not change, but just having someone pray with you makes the burden lighter. So even Jesus had to pray by himself. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. So now Jesus is praying for the third time. And he's saying the same thing. Then he returned to his disciples and he said to them, are you still sleeping? Look, the hour has come. He just makes it very clear. He says, the hour has come and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. You see, your betrayer is going to come at a time when you've been exhausted. Your betrayers are going to come at the time when you have been battle weary. Your fight is going to come at the time when you have been absolutely drained of your humanity. Jesus comes back to his disciples, hoping to find at least one of them praying. Isn't it amazing that his disciples were always asking him questions? Always wanting to ask questions? This was one time where they could have said, Master, why are you sorrowful? Master, why are you burdened? What's about to happen, Master? None of them had one iota of revelation of what was happening. Have you ever had people around you who never, because they're not prayerful, they cannot discern the signs and the times of the seasons? Have you met anyone around you that can never feel your pain, can never feel your burden? Are you still sleeping? You see, when you're either watching or you're sleeping. You're either watching or you are sleeping. You can't do both at the same time. So his disciples, they were not watching. They were not watching. They were sleeping. He says, look, the hour has come. Before the return of Jesus, we will still find people sleeping. We will still find people saying, Jesus is not coming back. We will still find churches not evangelizing. You see, you to be watchful and to be effective in prayer doesn't mean physically sitting and looking. It means making preparation because you understand the signs of the time. Watching means that you are actively anticipating the return of the Lord. Watching means that you are in a posture of expectation. Watching means that you are in a condition that you are mindful that something is about to happen. I make a pronouncement to you that the hour has come for the church, for the time to worship him in spirit and in truth. This is the hour, because what's happening to Israel is a picture of what is happening to the church. What's happening to Israel is a picture of what's going to happen to humanity. Most of humanity are asleep. Our politicians are asleep. They don't understand the times and the season. Rise up! Here comes the betrayer. And Judas does what he has to do. But that's not our topic for the day. You see, the word watch actually comes from a terminology that came out of the war. See, it was a time during Jerusalem and Israel that they had to watch. There was a time where the watchmen had to stay during the night and watch and look out for danger. It was the role of the watchman to anticipate what hour war would come. The role of the watchman was to stay up all night, and there were different shifts. There were different periods of time that different watchmen would come and watch over the city. Let's look at some Bible verses on watching so that we can get a clear picture of what it was to watch. You see, there are different watches. There are about 8 watches of the night. And the watchmen took on these different time periods. There was 12 to 1 a.m., which is the time of heightened spiritual activity. And there is 3 to 6 a.m. and 6 to 9 and 9 to 12 in the daytime. So there were different watches, and all watches were covered during different periods of the night. So a real effective prayer life or prayer posture is to watch, is to be able to understand the different times and the different seasons. Watching was a normal part of the activity of a watchman. It's the watchman that will blow the trumpet when there is time of war. It's the watchman that will look out over the city and make an announcement that the enemy is coming. You cannot have an effective prayer life if you haven't learned to watch. You've got to anticipate that there is spiritual warfare. It doesn't mean when you see danger or vision in your dream or you're coming under attack, it's not necessarily anything bad or negative. When you watch, when you see an attack in the realm of the spirit, it's because you're seeing it as if it has already happened. But it's a prophetic image of what the enemy wants to do. So watching in prayer means that you're able to see the attack of the enemy and abort the attack before it happens, because the spiritual realm is parallel to the natural dimension. So when you see something in the spirit, you're able to pray and abort it. But that's only if you are watching. Only if you are watching are you able to abort the plans of the enemy. And I declare to you that there will be no more abortion in your life. I take authority over every attack of the enemy. I take authority over every plans of the enemy, every satanic prophecy for your life. I declare that it is aborted in the name of Jesus. As we watch, we declare that there shall be peace in your life, because you're able to watch, you're able to destroy, you're able to stop and abort the plans of the enemy. And I prophesy to you, there will be no more abortion. There will be no more delay. There will be no more hindrances. Every hindrance to your dream, I take authority over it. Every hindrance to your vision, I cancel it in the name of Jesus Christ. I pray that God will surround you with people that will lift up your hands. God will surround you with people that will be a wing and not a weight. God will surround you with people that will take you to your destiny. May the Lord release to you the vision helpers. Without people, the vision. May the Lord send the right people to make your vision accomplished. Oh yes, your vision helpers are on their way. Your vision helpers are about to manifest. Your destiny helpers are about to manifest. But you gotta watch. We have got to watch. And let's get into the word. Let's see what the word has to say about watching and praying. Bear with me one moment. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. First Peter 5 and verse 8. Let's start there. First Peter 5 and verse 8 says, stay alert. The New Living Translation says, watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. King James Translation says, whom he may devour. So the enemy doesn't have to devour you if you are watching. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you if you are watching and praying. When you are watching, you're able to see the plot and destroy the plot of the enemy. James 4 verse 7 says, submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil and he will flee. When you are watching and praying, you're able to resist the enemy. You must submit first. You first submit, then you resist. You don't resist, then you submit. You submit in prayer by watching, then the enemy will resist. Then he will flee. So the first posture is to watch. Only when you watch and pray are you able to escape temptation. You and I have to first watch. 1 Peter 4 and verse 7 says, "But the end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be serious and be watchful in your." The emphasis here is to watch, not just to pray, but to watch. St. Matthew chapter 24, St. Matthew 24 and verse 42 says, "Keep watch, because you do not know the day on which the Lord will come." So we have to watch the season, we have to watch the time, we have to watch the signs before we can understand how to pray effectively. 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 13 says, "Watch, stand fast in your faith, be brave, be strong." But we have to watch. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 6 says, "Be on your guard. Be on your guard. Be on your guard. Be on your guard. Be on your guard." You read this until you get a revelation. It says, "Be on your guard." You see, when a soldier is on guard, when the policeman is on guard, when the soldier is on guard, when the army is on guard, they don't sleep. When you're on your guard, you are ready for battle. When you're on your guard, you are looking out for the enemy. When you are on guard, you are standing in your place of assignment. Be on guard. I don't think the church is on guard because too many things has caught us on guard. It says, "Be on your guard." When you're on your guard, you don't fall into temptation. Be on your guard. Yes, be on your guard. Stay in your place of assignment. Stay at the place that you've been posted. Be ready and be watchful. Be on your guard. Watch. Now, let's look at some more verses because we've got to anchor what's really happening in this season of Christendom. Why is it so important for us to watch? We have to watch. We are called to be watchmen. Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, puts it like this. It says, "Behold, I have set watchmen upon your wall, O Jerusalem. Day and night they will not be silent until Jerusalem," watch this, "until Jerusalem becomes a praise to the people," or to the earth. So it means that one of the roles of the watchman in Zion is to be a watch over Jerusalem. It says we should watch and pray, or we should pray for the peace of Jerusalem. But it also tells us that there are watchmen set upon the wall. So Jerusalem is a picture, it's a type and shadow of the church. Jerusalem is a picture of Christendom. Jerusalem, physically and prophetically, is a picture of the church. Look at the church is the Prince of God. The church is the apple of his eye. So you and I, as we watch what happens to Jerusalem, we are watchmen looking out for the return of Christ. Have you got that? Watching over Jerusalem is watching for the return of Christ. We are anticipating the return of Christ when we are watching. That's what we are doing. We are waiting for the return of our Savior. That's why it's important for you and I to remain steadfast and keep on watching. Watching is not wasting time. Watching is waiting on the Lord to speak to us. Watching is a commitment of our soul. Watching is a commitment in our heart. Watching is making a vow to do what God has commanded us to do. We have to watch. We are called to be watchful. It's amazing how activities can cloud our mind and keep us from understanding where we should be and what we should do. Never be sidetracked by activities that are not connected to the spiritual application of watching. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 13 says, "Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert or watch. Be persistent in your prayers for all believers. Watch and pray, be persistent." St. Matthew 25 verse 13 says, "Keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." So we are watching and anticipating for something to happen. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17 says, "Never stop praying. Never stop watching. Always be steadfast and keep watching." Watching is a Christian discipline. Watching is a Christian discipline, but it's a discipline that came from the army. It's a discipline that came from the armed forces, where they stay up all night and they watch. In fact, watching is a discipline from spiritual warfare, because watching means that you're not just anticipating for something to happen negatively, but watching is to ensure that what you're waiting for to come positively actually comes to pass. You see, when you look at what's happening to Jerusalem today, we are seeing two things happening. We are seeing God's judgment and we are seeing God's promise. Listen to what Jesus says in St. Matthew chapter 23. St. Matthew 23 and verse 37. He says, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those who I sent to you. How often have I longed to gather you, my children, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing." Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again, Jerusalem, until you say, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Or in the Hebrew, Baruch haba Bisham Adonai. Blessed is he who comes. So here we have Jesus warning Jerusalem that I want to gather you, but you were not willing. He came to his own, and his own received him not. So the prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah chapter 1, Isaiah chapter 40, and verse 1 says, comfort ye, my people, says my God. Speak comfort to Jerusalem. Cry to her that her warfare has ended, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. God has scattered the Jews across all the faces of the earth, but he wants to gather them as a hen gathers her children. So in the warfare that Israel experienced, God has a hope for Israel. God wants to restore Israel to his own. Isn't it amazing that some of the Jews today still cannot see Jesus as their Messiah? But in the midst of this turmoil, in the midst of this terrific attack and destruction upon Jerusalem, they will be able to awaken to the fact that Jesus and Mashiach is their. Listen to what the prophet Zechariah has to say. Zechariah chapter 12, he says, and verse 4, Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 4 says, I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations that come to attack Israel. Then the clans of Judah will say in their heart, the people of Jerusalem are strong, because the Lord Almighty is their God. Verse 6, on that day I will make all the clans of Judah like a firepot in a woodpile, like a flaming torch among sheaves. Then will I consume all the surrounding people on the left and on the right, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. This is a promise to Jerusalem by the prophet Zechariah, that God will preserve his people. One translation says, behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling to the whole world. But he has a promise for Jerusalem, a promise of salvation, a promise of salvation. I must quote the scripture accurately. Isaiah chapter 60. The prophet Isaiah is speaking, and he says, I think it's Isaiah 62. Isaiah chapter 62 and verse 6 says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day and night. You that make mention of the Lord, keep not silent. These are the people who already know that Jesus is their Messiah. These are the Messianic Jewish people and the born-again Christians who already know that Jesus is their Messiah. It says, do not keep silent. Do not be asleep. Keep watch. Watch over the walls of Jerusalem. They shall never, ever, ever hold their peace. You should never hold your peace. Day and night, night and day. You must make mention of the Lord. Keep not silent. Give him no rest. Give him no rest till he establish, till he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth. This is one of the roles of the Gentiles, to keep on watching, to keep on praying, to keep on uttering, to keep on uttering salvation until Jerusalem becomes a praise in the earth. This is what Isaiah was saying. So our role as Gentiles, one of our roles, pivotal role of Gentiles, Romans chapter 11, is to make the Jews just jealous. We were chosen to make the Jews jealous. Romans chapter 11 says we were grafted in. St. Paul says, I was grafted in. You and I were grafted in to be watchful, to be watchmen upon the wall, day and night, to be watchmen in prayer until we make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. What a mystery. Oh, salvation is a mystery. Redemption is a mystery. The kingdom of God is a mystery. Oh, Isaiah now is making it clear that we should not be silent. We should not be silent. And don't you dare fall asleep, because we have to watch. Don't you dare fall asleep, because we have to watch. We have to watch. We are posted like watchmen on the wall. And we have to keep on watching. We have to keep on watching. And my prayer for you today is, if you never said yes to Jesus, you have an opportunity to say yes. If you never said yes to salvation, today is your opportunity to say yes. Ezekiel chapter 33. Woo! Ezekiel chapter 33. Ezekiel 33, and the prophet Ezekiel is talking. And it says, the word of the Lord came to me, Ezekiel 33. Son of man, speak to your countrymen and say to them, when I bring the sword against the land, and the people of the land choose one of their men, and make him their watchman. We are watchmen. You are watchmen. Verse 7 says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word that I speak, and I give them warning. I give them warning. You are a watchman, watching over Israel until they become a praise to the earth. I told you salvation is a mystery. Do you know why Jesus has not yet returned? It's very simple. Jesus has not yet returned because he's waiting for the Jews to return to him. The delay in the return of the Lord is because he's waiting for his people to return to him. He's waiting for his people to return to him. What an amazing story. What an amazing mystery is salvation. I pray today that if you have heard this broadcast, you will take hope in the fact that salvation has come to you today. The mystery of salvation is being unfolded to you today. Why don't you join me in this prayer? In Romans chapter 10. If I believe in my heart and confess with my mouth, I will be saved. Father, I'm asking you to come into my heart today. Wash me with your precious blood. Wash me. Come and live inside of me. I give my heart to you. In Jesus' name, amen. God has brought salvation to you today.
The voice of him that cried in the wilderness, prepare the way of my Lord. Straight in the desert, a highway for every valley, every valley shall be exalted, shall be exalted. The crooked straight and the rough places bare. The crooked straight, the crooked straight, the rough places bare. Let's